Hello, John. How are you doing?
So far, so good. And you?
I am doing fantastic as well. At the moment, everybody is talking about coming to America.
Excellent.
How does that make you feel, being a part of the original and then the sequel as well?
It's wonderful to recapture a moment that was so important in my life as a person. And the success of the first one had us all wishing and hoping that there would be a sequel. And finally, after all these years, here it is, and it's been well received. So I'm very happy.
So what is it about the original movie that you think over the years has still captivated audiences all over the world?
Well, obviously, it's the comedic appeal of an Eddie Murphy, who is, for my money, an unrecognized genius. His ability to be disarming, funny, and the whole 9 yards is seamless. So he's a gifted performer, and I'm hopeful that coming to America will be as well received as the original.
Yeah, talking about how already it's been received, people love it, and there are those who have also raised issues. A lot of people have raised issues, even with your role. Somebody says that you bringing a knockoff version of McDonald's to Africa is some sort of the stereotype that we can't have the real thing even in Africa. What do you say to such a person alongside all the other sort of criticisms that have come, especially in terms of how Africa was portrayed?
Presents a Hollywood version of a situation or a demographic with which Hollywood has not become authentically familiar and conversant with. You're going to get stereotypically. That's been the history of Hollywood. It was the history of Hollywood in every picture I've ever seen in some television shows back in the early 50s that perpetuated negative stereotypical thinking and image for the obvious reasons. So today we have to be ever mindful that the only way to present an accurate picture of life in Africa is culture, and what it means to the indigenous people is to put that responsibility for that imagery in the hands of Africans. Let us best describe who we are and why we are, and not leave it to the hands of others who have ulterior motives. End of story.
Great. As somebody, I believe you've had a lot of contact with Africa. You've stayed in Liberia a little bit. Can you share those experiences with us? How it was in terms of even the cultural shock and what majority of Americans believe Africa to be. Can you share your experiences with what you had when you visited Liberia and other parts of Africa?
I was most conversant with the culture of Liberia because I lived there. I made friends there. I made business relationships. I seriously contemplated the state to live in Monrovia, and then there were some political changes that made me shift gears and decide not to do that at that time. But the bottom line is I had some wonderful experiences in Liberia, and the experiences that I had in real life while living in Monrovia stood me in good stead when I was offered and subsequently accepted the role of Kunta Kinte in the miniseries Roots. I drew on my experiences living in Liberia to furnish me with what I thought was some authenticity in regards to the roots of the character Kunta Kinte. So my research for the character, I was doing my research unconsciously because I didn't even know that I was going to be offered the role of Kunta Kinte in Roots. It put me in good stead. It gave me a lifelong, long missing confidence in myself and pride in my ethnic heritage that I'd never had to that degree before, although I never was shy of that, thanks to my mother's tutelage and that of my seniors. So I've been very blessed in my career, and I really only look forward to more of the same, if it's God's will.
Fantastic. Talking about roots, in 2019, Ghana launched the Year of Return campaign, hoping to open up and let more African diaspora come. And in the wake of attacks and the rising concerns around Black Lives Matter, a lot of people are calling on African Americans to look at this side, coming to Ghana and other African countries to sort of integrate. What is your take on that?
Suffice it to say, I wanted to relocate to Monrovia after visiting there a couple of times on business and just for relaxation. I found it to be a very, at that time, very healthful environment for me. I was working on a regular TV show, Good Times, and every for our contracts, I would go to Liberia and I would decompress because I would eat only the indigenous food. I was sleeping, but man, I developed an affinity for cassava leaf, palm butter, and you know, my favorite was palm butter, and he cooked it. I've been most fortunate. I found a Liberian cook in Atlanta where my granddaughter and the family lives, and I call her and she makes up my everything I love, the cassava leaves, the potato green, everything. And then she has two jars of pepper sauce, which is essential if you really gonna enjoy the Liberian food. So you know that to be a fact, huh? So
Yeah.
I've been managing to retain a little bit of Liberia, a little bit of Africa, even though I'm in the middle of a pandemic and I'm living in Colorado. I love it.
So what do you, times are changing, even looking at how coming to America was sort of distributed, it's digital, it's streaming. We've gotten to a point where the world is connected and cinema, as we know, is not the old way, you have to sit in the theater, etc. What is your advice to African filmmakers in terms of capitalizing on this new trend and now getting more global audiences?
In order to capture global audiences, you've got to capture global imagination, which encompasses all peoples. Everybody that is a film goer that loves to watch movies, whether they be on television or the big screen, is aware of films like Black Panther and the impact of that film that mixes mythology and storytelling with today's special effects and wonderful performances by the late Chadwick. So our audience has gone ahead with their imagination light years. And I think filmmakers have to stay abreast of that if they want worldwide appeal. They can no longer just tell the old stories the old ways. They've got to encompass the new technology and the way of filmmakers have of making a film breathe, making it come alive, as they did with Black Panther. That's why it was the success that it was.
And have you had opportunity to look at any African production, or would you want to be in any African film?
I would love to work more closely as opposed to just saying, yeah, I'd love to be in one and participate. I would love to have establish a relationship with some African filmmakers and ask them, how can you best utilize my talents and my relationships in the industry to move forward? I'm not just looking for work as an actor. I've been so blessed that fortunately, I don't have to look for work like that. But what I would like to do is have a meaningful relationship with some African and directors anywhere in the world. If we're going to make it a truly universal vision for all of us in this industry, then why limit myself to any one particular market? It's just that the possibilities of the stories that could come out of Africa alone could fill a library of incredible dimensions. I mean, it's endless. It's absolutely endless. And when I think about that, I get excited because my son, Casey Amos, is an accomplished filmmaker. And at his age, much, much younger than myself, he is capable of seeing some of these stories be told. And I get excited because he in turn can establish with African filmmakers and directors and writers and producers his own age. And that means another 50 to 60 years of professionalism coming out of my family. And that makes me feel very good because we all will benefit by this. So we have some incredible stories to tell, man. Incredible stories. And I look forward to the next generation of African-American filmmakers forming a true creative relationship with the brothers across the pond. It's going to be a very exciting time.
Right. And I mean, with all these years of experience, we've seen you in TV series, we've seen you do comedy, we've seen you do drama. What has been your personal highlight so far?
I love to make people laugh. I think for any actor or any artist to transform human beings from being in a state of depression to one of laughter and feeling good, that's the ultimate accolade, the ultimate. So I lean towards comedy, and my most enjoyable comedic moments have been in live performances on stage. That's suffice it to say, that's where I live. That's where I really come alive, because when I'm working in front of a camera, I never know what the reaction is going to be. But when I'm working in front of an audience and it's supposed to be funny, and I see somebody bent over laughing with tears coming out their eyes, then I know that I have accomplished my objective. I've made you laugh. And there's no greater feeling in the world for an actor than to do that, as far as I'm concerned.
Fantastic. So are there any current projects you're working on and future projects we should look forward to?
Yes, oh, there's any one of a number of them. My son, KC, and I refer to it as our war chest. That is those projects that we individually or collectively have created that we know will be wonderful stories to be shared with the public, whether they be for television or for film. And the most immediate thing he's working on is a biopic of my life and my career, because I've been most blessed. And now I'm in over 50 years. I think I've got a few stories to tell that will make people laugh, cry, and say, oh my God, I don't believe it. But you will believe it when you read or see the pic. We've got a series that we anticipate being executive producers on. I have another film that's being released despite the pandemic called Because of Charlie. And that is an independent film. And it should be it could very well be a sleeper, because it deals with a dysfunctional family of just about every diverse ethnic origin that you could imagine, and all the demographics involved that come together for a family reunion, and they get really close as a result of a hurricane, which has been named by the Meteorological Society Charlie. So Hurricane Charlie hits this family, and that's hence the title, Because of Charlie. And it's because of Charlie, this family is reunited on so many levels that I'm proud to be part of this small but important film. Every film is not going to be a blockbuster or necessitate millions of dollars in special effects. This is a simple story, but it's an effective story, and I'm proud to have been a part of it. And in addition to that, my son and I have some other projects that they will be better known to the public in a short amount of time. I'll leave it there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, John. We wish you all the very best in your upcoming projects, and it's been fantastic speaking with you. from here in Ghana.
Well, thank you. And I hope to join you at some point in the near future as soon as possible. God bless you. Stay well.
Stay blessed.